and welcome to another episode of TPAS Member Chat. I'm really pleased to be able to call David Yates, who is a resident and chair of Community Gateway today. David and the rest of the staff and volunteer team at Community Gateway are good friends of TPAS. They are regulars at our national events and they are affectionately known as the Purple People because they all come kitted out in their highly visible branded purple tops at our events so we can easily pick them out from the crowd. The Gateway model aims to enable tenants to become members and owners of the organisation and therefore through that membership get involved in decision making. Community Gateway is a prime example of TPAS's belief in the massive impact a great partnership between a landlord and a tenant can have. So let's see what David has to say at the moment. Hello David and welcome to TPAS Member Chat.
Hello Ray, pleased to be here.
Can you just give listeners a bit of a picture of what lockdown life is for you? Where are you living? How's home life?
Yes, that's fine. I suppose we could say that lockdown is depressing, it's boring, it's tedious. But I'm very happy to say that Community Gateway is doing everything it can to make sure that is not the case. We're working so hard with our tenants and our partners now, doing things we've never ever done before. And that's been very challenging, but it seems to be working.
And you've skipped on to my next question then, David. Well, I was going to ask, what's been the response been like for you from Community Gateway? How has your role with Community Gateway changed for all of this?
As chair of the board, which I was elected to take over in September of last year, it's been quite a whirlwind few months. Never expected all this to happen when I took over the chair. But what it has done, Ray, is made us all think about how we connect with the outside world, how we connect with our tenants. And thinking about it carefully, we've come up with lots of new ideas. And I can imagine that many of these ideas will continue long after this is all passed over. And let's all hope it's very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of ideas are you talking about, David? Can you give any examples?
Yeah, as you could probably imagine, the majority of our workforce now is working from home. We still have responders working within the building, and a lot of our tenant engaged team have set up a hub in the building and are answering telephone calls from worried tenants. It's mainly about finance and budgeting. We've conducted an online survey about that, and so we're sending information out how people can manage. We're sending information out about how are they managing with food, and up to now, working with Preston City Council and Food Share, we've delivered over 1,600 hampers to our local residents who otherwise would probably be struggling and not be able to get out and buy food. And that's a tremendous effort. Many of our people are driving to people's homes, dropping off food, and that seems to be going down very, very well. Our supported housing team obviously cannot keep in contact with tenants anymore, so they are making telephone calls, and have made well over 1,600 telephone calls to vulnerable tenants, some more vulnerable than others, talking to them, asking them how they are. Unfortunately, we've not been able to have our outside events, but as an example, on the 5th of May, we were due to have a VE celebration day in one of our local clubs. Obviously, that now cannot go ahead. So what they're doing, they've set up some online information, and a plate of party food will be delivered to your home on that day. So you can sit around your computer or whatever RT you have, enjoy what is happening on the screen, and I don't know yet what form that will take, but enjoy your party food as well. They're also producing every fortnight a newsletter. There's pictures of the new staff in there. telling you all about them and what they've done before. It's filled with puzzles, it's filled with quizzes. People are sending in information about how Preston used to be, how they remember Preston, and that really is so interesting. Mm. What it's meant to do is meant to keep people, even though they feel as though they're imprisoned in their homes, keep people in touch with the real world outside, because it's still there, it's still happening, and we want to make it happen as much as we can.
That's wonderful, David. What about you mentioned some of the tenants and residents that are vulnerable, and I know you've talked about the impact of social isolation, but what about the residents that aren't in that kind of vulnerable position? What kind of worries are the working residents who there might be key workers, they might have money worries? What are the big concerns for the wider residents of Community Gateway?
Yes, you're right there, Ray. It just doesn't apply to all the supported housing people. We have majority of our tenants are in general needs. Many of them will have been working from home. Many of them will have to stay at home because their partner may be in a vulnerable situation. So again, we are talking to them. We set up the hub again where people can phone in. It does seem to be, as I said earlier, the two main worries are budgeting, financial, and food. Paying rent, of course, is obviously a problem. As at the moment, we don't see that is seriously affecting us. I don't think it's gone on long enough yet. But of course, we're following the government guidelines, and we will not evict anybody because of lack of rent. But I hope by saying that, that's not a reason for people not to pay the rent. Rent is important. It keeps us going. So we have our rents team are continually talking to people, completely giving advice on how they can manage. So it is one of giving loads and loads of advice to people who want it.
What kind of pressures do you think, in your opinion, with your involvement with Community Gateway, is being placed on the landlord? And in your opinion, how can strong tenant involvement help?
Well, yes, we've had a recent change. I'm sure you do read it. We brought in some consultants, and we completely changed the way we do tenant involvement. We took on more staff. We reorganised our Gateway Tenants Committee. We dropped a lot of committee, but unfortunately, just as we were starting to embark on all this, along came the coronavirus. So it's been a trial period of tenants getting to know the new staff getting to know the tenants. And what we have done is the engagement team have been allocated different parts of Preston. So they, when times are better, will be able to get out and about and meet the tenants. So it's one of keeping in touch. We're suggesting that tenants do send in messages, emails, because one of the difficult problems is because of the services that we offer, we have not been able to do repairs in people's home. That's been a problem, but we have continued wherever possible to do emergency repairs, and of course that includes gas checks. We know that the regulator is still insisting that we do 100% gas checks, and at this moment in time that seems to be going very well. We're suggesting to tenants that if they have a worker that comes in their house, that they split themselves up, if you will, and be in a different room than actually the staff who is doing the gas check or the repair, so there's no contact with them. And we're making sure that our staff do have PPE equipment as well, even to the extent of informing them not to drive two in a vehicle, because again, that's not social distancing themselves, is it? So wherever it's putting extra cost because we're having to send two vehicles instead of one. But I suppose which is more important, the health of our staff and the health of our tenants than money. Of course, money is important. But one of the things that we've had to cease at the moment is our grass cutting, because it wasn't possible to send We're very lucky that the grass has not started to grow massive amounts yet, but I would imagine the first time we get a heavy period of rain, it will shoot up. So it's going to be a case of, well, can we resume grass cutting? If we can, how do we do it? And do we want to do it? Can we do it safely? That's the thing. We're looking at all our services on that way. Can we continue? Is it safe to do so? As far as my role is concerned, Ray, it has changed tremendously. As board members, we accept that it's not our role to try and tell the company how to manage its services and its finances. That's what people are paid to do. But what I'm doing is I'm contacting our board members and I'm encouraging them to email heads of service, particularly the chief executive, with questions. How is this going to work? What do you think about this? So it's generally a two-way conversation.
And do you think?
Carry on.
Yeah. Do you think some of these changes that you'll continue with? Hopefully after we've got this vaccine that we keep hearing about. Do you think some of these changes, that will be it? This will be business as usual?
Well, what I've been finding out is that I'm chair of the board, and we've got our chief executive, sort of supposed to be sitting in those ivory towers, and we're just faces. But during this problem, we've been able to contact people, talk to people, and it's just broken down so many barriers. I think this will only be good for the company when we get out of this, because then people will be able to talk freely to each other. We've been using Zoom quite a lot, and that's been a godsend to us. Our heads of service have a regular meeting on Zoom. The executives team meet on a regular basis, and I've got a Zoom link with the chief executive. And at the very beginning, we used to meet every day on Zoom. But now, of course, if we're getting more organised and things are going on, we probably will meet up every other day. Tells me what the latest situations are, what's likely to happen, and we discuss all that. So I'm very pleased that the company's keeping me informed, and I'm not just sat at home wondering what's going on. So things like the Zoom, it's as I was saying earlier, some of these things may just continue. We had a committee meeting, that's our audit and risk committee last week met. I'm not on that committee as chair of the board, I can't be, but I was linked into it, and it went really, really well. I'm sure there's lots of things to be learned there for when we get back to normal. And for goodness sake, whatever normal is going to be now, I have no idea. But we conducted our board in the early May. We'll be doing the same thing with that. We'll be on Zoom. And I've had quite a few trials with our governance team just to see how it works and how I can manage it. And that brings me another important thing is our governance. We can't just let governance drop because we can't see people. We've got to be seen to make sure that our governance is working, and I'm talking with the governance team on a regular basis. Because one of the things that could happen is the regulator could come in next year and do an IDA with us, an in-depth assessment, and he could say to us, do you remember the medical sessions last year with the coronavirus? What did you do to make sure your company kept going? And so we have to have a chain of events that have been happening, how we've been conducting our services, how we've been carrying out governance, and how it's worked. So without governance, we could be liable to be downgraded, heaven forbid. It won't happen. So we've got to ensure that we are ticking over as normal.
Well, I'm going to end the member chat right there, because we could talk on, but I will say that we've done a number of member chats up to now, and you're the first really to talk about governance and regulatory responses. So that's fantastic to hear, and obviously that's just a reflection of you, David, and how you're a board member and the Community Gateway approach. So that's brilliant to hear about you considering accountability and governance at this point. But thank you so much for your time then, David.
You're very welcome. Talk to you soon, Ray. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.